Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Sandy and welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for joining me today. And today's video is inspired by Lila from YouTube. She is a great After Effects slash filmmaking kind of YouTuber. She does some great content. If you have anything about After Effects or cameras or anything like that, there's definitely some stuff that you can learn from her. She did an awesome video with holograms and stuff and a teleportation thing. You should definitely check it out. I'll leave the links in the description down below. But she also made a video where she made a title in After Effects with her own animations. And then she was like, okay, that's cool. And now I re-render it out. And then I render it out, put it in Premiere Pro, and there we go. There's my title. So what she said is that whenever she wanted to change text or anything like the timing of the video, like how long the animation is gonna last, you'd have to go into After Effects again and then go into your title and then change it to whatever you needed to. So let's go to my title and then you would have to go in there and change it. Does that sound stupid? Yes, it does. By the way, that fancy box thing, that's done with something called expressions. It's super complicated. It's basically programming inside After Effects. Another video about that entirely. It's super complex, even to me, even though I don't understand it yet. But anyhow, away from the topic. This is my animation, right? So it has a nice intro. It just scales up the composition where the title is in. This is a pre-composition. It's basically a sub kind of composition, a child, if you will. And in there is a title and a rectangle, and here I scale that up within. So you can see here that it scales up, and then it goes back down, and then the title or the episode rather appears, and then it goes back away, the exact same way. It's basically a mirror. The composition is about this length. The composition is 10 seconds. The composition is 1920 by 1080. It's full HD, and it runs at 29.97 frames per second, but it doesn't matter at all because After Effects will take care of everything for you in Premiere. So, how about what if I wanted to change the length of the animation? Well, you'd probably go like, okay, so I'll have to tickle these keyframes, holding Shift, clicking on them, and then drag them to wherever I want them to, crop the composition to that much, and then render it out, export it to Premiere Pro, and then use it there as a title. Does that sound stupid? Yes. So instead, what you can use is responsive animations. And the first time I got introduced into this was actually in Premiere Pro itself, because it actually in Essential Graphics has a couple graphics that you can use from the start. And I asked Adobe about this and I was like, what is this? I want to do that. And they responded with responsive animations. And they showed me a link, and I'll leave that in the description down below as well. Put it up on screen here. It shows you all about responsive time intros and outros, and it's super cool. So here in Premiere Pro, in the Essential Graphics, which you can find in Graphics or Window Essential Graphics, right here, you can go and let's do the title where I based this on, which is called Bold Title. There we go, Bold Title. And let me just drag in a photo here that I can use and drag that to the timeline and plop that title on there. So this is the standard thing that you get with After Effects, and the rendering is super slow because this photo is 6000 by 4000 resolution. I'll scale that down just a bit. So you can see that this animation scales up and then it appears. And then it goes away again. And you'll see these purple indications or these slightly lighter colors on the timeline. So let's scale this up a bit. This one as well. And here you can see that there is this little discoloration here. And I was like, wait a minute. That's where the animation stops and starts. So then I was like, well, what is that? So I contacted Adobe, like I said, links and everything I told you already. And that was really cool. I wanted to find that out. So then I did. And here we are. So I'm gonna oh, actually, no, it doesn't matter. We're gonna go into composition, responsive design, and say create intro. And that's it. And it creates an intro. And you can change this marker to whatever position you want to specify as the intro. It's basically gonna create a protective section of that animation that will never change. It will stay the same no matter how long the animation is. So that's the first one. Then you go to composition again, responsive design time, create outro. And then you get this outro. Now these are just regular old markers. You can place them by yourself by going into layer, markers, add marker. So here I have a marker that I can move around. Holding Alt, dragging it, click and dragging it, will allow me to create this exact same form of marker. Double click on the marker, protected region, and that's the exact same thing. The exact same thing. It's something that doesn't change no matter the length of the animation. So if you have some animation in the center as well that you really want to like pan out normally, but you still want to be able to drag out the length of this animation as long as you want to, you can do that with protected regions just by creating your own markers. So we're just going to use the one marker that we created at the end here, and I'm going to hold shift while clicking on this. Well, click on it, hold shift, and then I can snap it to these keyframes that you can see here, which by the way, you can bring all your keyframes up by pressing U on the keyboard in After Effects. Like you can see here, it brings up all the used keyframes. So one press is show the keyframes that are in use. W shows everything. So we're just going to press it once, and dragging this marker section around, holding shift, I can snap to these keyframes. So let's snap it to here. And then I can also drag this one around. And again, holding shift, I can snap to these keyframes, and I'm going to put it right there. That's it. Now, that is just a responsive design here. Let's just, you know what? Let's just export this. Let's just export this, or actually I can't, because I need to do something with Essential Graphics first. Essential Graphics needs to be able to be altered in any way or shape or form. You could basically drag into here anything that you want. So you're going to set a master composition. In this case, it's going to be my composition 1. So here's my composition 1, and inside there is a title composition together with the episode text layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the episode here, and I'm going to go to the text and say source text, and I'm going to drag that into the Essential Graphics here. You can get that up here, by the way, by going to the window, Essential Graphics, to make it appear. And here it is. And you set your master composition, so your main composition where everything is in, and you drag in those source text. If you make the master composition another composition that is, and you change something that's of the parent, you can't do it. You see this? It like starting to have issues. You can't do this. You can't alter a child from a parent, or you can't alter a parent from a child. You can't do that. So instead, what you want to do is you want to select as master your composition 1, and then you can actually change things like the children of it. So let's go to title, open that up, and go into title, text, source text, drag that in there as well. So there we go. And again, if I change this to title as the master, you see that the just regular old like episode completely removes. Why? Because it doesn't have access to it. Only a parent can be controlling a child. A child can never control a parent. So go back to where it was. Composition 1, I got my episode here, I got my title here, source text, drag it in there. And what is source text? It basically is everything that has to do with changing the text. So here in my animation, if we go to my animation here, we are going to the composition 1 rather, and you can see this animation here, and we can change the text here if we want to. So let's change it into test. There we go, test, it's changed. But let's change this back into episode, because that's the way I want it to be. And you can do multiple lines as well. It's really cool. So now that this is done, we actually have something to change in Premiere Pro. We can export motion graphics template, save it, this project, and then we can say destination local templates folder. You can also export it to anywhere on your local drive or other locations or libraries that you want to. And you can add search keywords to this as well. So let's make a title keyword for this, right? Title, and I'm actually going to use another one which is called blur title, because I'm going to make a blur on it later as well. So blur title, I can really not type today. Blur title and title, those are the keywords that I'm going to use. Okay, export, I already have one, going to replace it. And then we go into Premiere Pro, and we're going to go into browse for the Essential Graphics, and we're going to search for title. Title, and let's see, what was the name of that one? The name was test in capital letters. Okay, so let's look for that. Or actually, let's just search for blur title, because there's a lot of titles in here. So blur title, and here's the test one. Okay, I've experimented in the past. This one is broken. This one is fine. So we're gonna drag in that test here, and there it is. the animation as it is, it scales up, and you might notice that as I'm dragging it, it's kind of blurry. That's because the animation is 1920 by 1080, but the video here, in this case just an image, is 6000 by 4000. Yet you might notice that the scaling doesn't look half bad. And that's because it does automatic scaling for you. So even if you have a 720p animation, it will scale it all the way up to whatever resolution you have, and it will look proportionately right to what it was when it was full HD. So if this was a full HD image, it would look basically exactly the same size as if it was on this. So pretty cool. It does everything for us. Now you might have noticed that we don't see those ins and outros like we did in the essential graphics in Premiere that are built in. True, that is not coded into Premiere yet, unfortunately, but it is still there. So this protected region right here is still here. And look at that. The animation is like this, and okay, it does cut off here. So what you do want to do, actually, what is recommended is to just grab all these keyframes and drag them to the end of the composition. Or what I'm gonna do in my case, I'm just gonna go to composition settings and set the end duration to 4 minutes. So there we go. And now that is going all the way to the end. I'm just gonna drag that one to there, and there we go. So, actually, that's fine. So, in and out point, got that set. Again, I'll export it again. Do that again, and refresh. Actually, it should be the exact same. Yeah, there we go. The duration is much shorter. So let's drag that in there. And now the duration is much shorter. And there we go. It goes like that. Then there's this protected region at the end as well. And now what I can do is I can scale this out as much as I want to. Look at that. So now it stays there. And again, the end does not move. Ah, how convenient. So now I can scale it up to whatever I want to and for how long I want to. Really cool. And it doesn't end there, because in here in Edit, Essential Graphics, there's a Browse and there's an Edit tab, and here we can change the title and the episode as well. So let's do this, Visiting the Zoo. And let's do title, Traveling to the Zoo, whatever. Something like that. And it's done. That's all there is to it. And then you just render it out like usual. Just like, it's just a portion of Premiere After Effects that's built into Premiere now. And it just renders out with the video like normal. So that is responsive design as well as the use of Essential Graphics. Is that cool? Yes, but it doesn't end there. What? How do you mean it doesn't end there? Well, we can do much more. We just dragged in source text. We can drag in everything. Anchor points, positions, anything, you name it, you can drag it in. Or actually, not everything, but to check out what you can, click on solo supported properties and it will select all of the properties that you can drag into this Essential Graphics pane. So let's go actually into my title in here. Go to my rectangle because I have two things in here. I have two effects. I have vertical margin and horizontal margin. I can just drag these, yeah, they're sliders, so I can just drag them. Oh no, actually I can't drag them in there like that. I have to go in there, go to my slider, get that slider over here, and call that something. So let's call that V margin, just for convenience sake. Or actually, we can change the slider name here as well, I think. Or actually we can't. Oh, no, wait a minute, we can. Hold on a minute. No, we can't. Oh, that's very inconvenient. But anyway, that slider, drag that over, and then go to my horizontal margin. Again, that slider, also change that to horizontal margin. Implement that. I can also go into the edit properties here. So you couldn't see this before, but I'll scale this up over here. Edit properties. You can also select whether or not you can enable custom font selection, enable font size adjustment, folk styles, that sort of thing. Of course, we're going to enable that. Duh. Why wouldn't we? More control is better, right? It would just make some things a little bit slower to respond, maybe. It might have a performance hit, it might not, but it works very well, very good. So you can like turn off your capitalization, your cursive, your whatever, change the style, change the font, whatever you want. And here in the V margin, we have a value that just drags like that. You can see that? It just drags like that, but we can edit the range as well. So we can set a slider range. So we can say from 0 to 1000, for example. So from 0 to 1000. You can see that? How cool is that? So we're just going to set that back to 100 right now as the default. And again, we can change this one to, again, for example, to 1000 as the end of the range. And let's export this and go back into this thing, get that test thing out here, delete the other one, get the test thing out here again, and there we go. There it is again. It looks blurry, but it scales up and I've got it to quarter quality. But there it is again. And this time we have more control. We can change all the font styles. We can change the margin straight from within Premiere. And something that I really like using, which I use all the time, is what if I want to change the color? I mean, I can't just change the text color because that's not, you're not able to do that within After Effects. So there's a solution for that as well. So let's go and create or get an effect. Let's go to my effects panel. Effects control, no, not effects controls. My effects, here we go, effects and presets. And in here, we're gonna go and search for color. And there's a couple things in here. Auto color, bracket color, change to color. That is an option, but probably also the easiest. So we're gonna say change to color probably. And we can say we're gonna go from white to red. Let's make sure that it's the correct white. And does that work? No, not really, because it's set to hue. White doesn't have a hue. We change that to hue, lightness, and saturation, and there we go. So now we can change the color as well. How do we do that? Well, pretty simple again. We go into that rectangle, we go into the effects, change the color, we get the to color, and we drag that into the effects panel. Simple as that. So we can set the color. So text, or actually we can say rectangle color. And we can change that to whatever we want. We want that white? Sure. Let's make it that. Let's make it red. Sure. Let's want to make it blue? There we go. Make it blue. Super cool, right? And if that was not enough, well, this can get really disorganizing, can't it? If we look at the Premiere thing right now, if we look at the edit tab here, it can look a little bit confusing. It would be nice if we could group things. You can do that too. Of course you can do that too. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go into the bottom here, the bottom left of the Essential Graphics pane in After Effects. And here we can say add formatting, add comment, add group. We're gonna say an add group. And we're gonna call this the, let's call this title. So the title, and inside there, we're gonna drag in the title. Yeah, we're gonna drag the title portion in here. We're gonna also grab that color and put that into the title as well. So we can set the rectangle color, the source text, and you know what? We're just gonna do that same color changer. So that same color changer to change the color, I'm just gonna copy that, Control C, put that onto the title, there we go. And again, we'll go into the effects here, change the color, get the to here, drag that in, and there we go. And that's gonna be the title color, okay? Or we can just change it to text color because it's generic. The text color of what? The text color of title. So there we go. Now we have a nice group. The rectangle color we can change, the text color we can change, and the source text we can change. That's really cool. And again, the V margin, we'll just drag those into the title as well because that's part of the title, isn't it? So I'm gonna go in there. And what we can also do is create a subgroup. So let's create a group within a group. Let's call this the rectangle. The rectangle, get the V margin in there, the horizontal margin in there, and the rectangle color in there. And there we go. We have a group within a group, and then all the text that we can change. Isn't that just awesome? So let's go and change the title back to what it was. And yeah, so now we got this little fold here. So let's create another group. Let's call that episode. It's nice and neat. And drag that into there. There we go. And we can also add comments if we want to. So we can say full control over everything. Whatever. You can add any comment that you want to whatever you want, and you can drag and drop this to whatever you want. And this, you can add it within here as well. So if you want to do descriptions and sell these things to people, you can do that too. You can sell these templates to people if you want to. And you can just put a comment in there and tell them what does what. So let's export this. How about that? let's export this. Actually, don't, before I do that, I also want to add a change color to the episode, of course. So we're gonna go to that episode one. And again, I'm gonna paste here. I think I still had it on my thingy. I did. Change the color, get the 2 from it. And here, text, color, like so. And that's it. So let's export that, save. And now we can go back into Premiere. There we go. And import the new one. So there we go, import the new one. And we can go into edit of that test. And let's see. Oh, look at that. We got a comment in here. We've got a title in here. We can control the rectangle in here. So we can change the margin. We can change the V margin. We can change the color of the title. We can change the color of the rectangle. Let's see. Ah, yeah, that's cool. And then the episode, we can change that. So let's call that blue to red, whatever, I don't care. Change the color of that. Let's make that pink. I don't care, because it's possible, all with After Effects and Essential Graphics and Responsive Design. And again, you can just drag this out as far as you want to, and the protected region never goes away. So that is what I wanted to show you guys. The blur, I'll show you on screen right now what that actually means, that I'm gonna add in. And yeah, hopefully this has been a lovely learning experience for you. Sorry if the video has been a little long. I have not kept track of time, but hopefully you've learned a ton right now and you're gonna make very good use of this. I wanna thank you all for watching, and I wanna thank Lila for giving me the actual idea to do this. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.